Welcome here, Mayor. Thanks very much for your ongoing support and partnership with us, always recognizing that there's a lot of good news that has got to come out that maybe doesn't get as much exposure as it should. So we're looking forward to recapping a little bit on history, a little bit on where the city's currently at, maybe some future plans, talking a lot about the summertime. There's plenty to do there during Whiting, but then also talking about who is Whiting and what is it known for. But let me start there.
Sure.
If I'm at a mayoral conference down in Indy or somewhere around the country and we're both sitting at a bar having a beer and I say, so who are you? You tell me I'm the mayor of Whiting, and I say, I don't know anything about Whiting. Tell me about Whiting.
It's a long story, but really I think I could say that I always tell people we're a sleepy little community on the shores of Lake Michigan, and we're right smack in the middle of this huge industrial area, and that just throws people for a loop, saying, "Oh my Lord, what's that mean?" And but really, Whiting's, we are a bedroom community of Chicago, whether we like it or not. We are a little bit of an isolated community on the shores of Lake Michigan, and we've had a real rich history, really based in the founding or the construction of the Standard Oil Refinery back in 1889. So we're a company town. Again, very small, 5,000 people, isolated from our bigger neighbors, and very close to the city of Chicago. So kind of a little unique enclave on the shores of Lake Michigan. We have a unbelievable diverse community, a lot of Eastern European roots. The downtown business district is kind of our focal point along with our lakeshore. So we are trying now to showcase our downtown business district and to accent the lakefront to make that an attraction to bring people into our community.
You fit an incredible amount of activity and stuff in a relatively small space. It's not a really large community by size or geography, but you got a ballpark in there, you got a beautiful lakefront in there, you got an active downtown in there, and you've got the BP refinery. How did you manage over, not just yourself, but how did the city of Whiting manage to fit all that into that little area?
Wow, it is unique by most standards. We actually only have 1.9 square miles total in our entire community, our city boundaries. Of that 1.9, 1.1 is the refinery. So we have 0.85 square miles of city. Residents, recreation, and all of our commercial districts jam-packed into that small area. So we may be, if you take out the refinery, the most dense community in maybe the United States. But again, we've learned to live with the refinery. Refinery is our really the reason we're a community, and they're a big part of our community, and not only our largest taxpayer, our largest water customer, but they are our largest employer, and they employ and benefit the entire region. So I think the mix we have now blends well. A great amount of, a sufficient amount of recreation along with our commercial and residential areas, and again, the refinery is here to stay, so we're glad to have that mix.
Tell me a little bit about the lakefront. Long-term visionary project, had some more recent challenges with the storms.
Sure.
Of last year, but sort of the city coming together, battling back, and really putting it back into beautiful shape.
Yeah, we have 2.5 miles of Lake Michigan shoreline, and for years the shoreline was an asset, but it was never really capitalized on. So when I became mayor in 2004, and several years before I became mayor, that there was talk about what we can do with the lakeshore and try to use it as to improve it, to try to use it as an attraction to bring people into the community. So we were fortunate enough under my tenure to actually land a RDA grant of $23 million and leverage that with some local bond money and some contributions from local industry. And we spent it on the lakefront to improve it and to actually create something that a lot of people call the color and animation of the city. You need something to bring the person from Chicago or something to bring the person from South Lake County up into Whiting. We're not off a highway. You got to take a hike to get to us, so we want people to come see us. And now that lakeshore is kind of our signature project that's actually working. We spent about $50 million out there all told. We're still not complete. We have the next phase going on this year, and we're doing some repairs, as you referred to, from the Halloween storm of last year. We had a very significant storm that, you can guess it was a 100-year storm, a 200-year storm. It's probably a million-year storm for all I know, but these storms are more frequent nowadays. And we had some damage out there to our pier and our gazebo. Most of that we overcame with different design and strengthening, but there is some issues out there with our revetment that we're actually we're pursuing some legal action now for a remedy. But again, it's water under the bridge. We need to fix it. It'll be back in service by Memorial Day. The park should be all ready to go for everybody. And again, it goes back to serving as that color and animation to make sure we can draw people here. So it's going to play a big part in the future of Whiting and how we turn the corner from there.
Tell me about your downtown business district.
Sure.
You brought some restaurants in. You really reinforced some of the streetscaping there. Obviously, big proponent of signage, sort of nice, bright, positive image. You see it on the trucks in Whiting. You see it on City Hall. You see it on the street signage and Wayfair signage. What led to that wanting to be another special focus project?
Sure. That's a great question, and I think I could nail it down to this. When people,
you got it on your lapel, by the way, So.
Well, it's all about branding, and we love to have people recognize Whiting when they see something, So, but when people talk about Whiting and they drive through Whiting, you drive down the business district, and everybody says, "Boy, you have a quaint little downtown business district that these business districts just don't exist anymore." And unless you're in cities like Valpo or Crown Point, most small cities and small towns struggle to maintain that component of their city. So we realized that if you were going to be successful, that you needed to maintain that downtown business district, because once that business district fails or gets underutilized, the entire community suffers. Your housing then changes as far as people's investment into their own properties. You don't attract the families here that you want with good kids for your schools, and it just, the entire community is could be impacted by the failure of the downtown. So we focused on the downtown from day one, and when we realized it all comes down to traffic. We improved the streetscape, like you said. The place looks inviting, but if you don't have the traffic to support the businesses, then the businesses can't survive. And you need businesses not only to survive, you need them to thrive. Yep. So everything we've done in the last 12 years has really been, let's bring as many people to Whiting, Indiana as we can. Then it leads to the lakefront and say, okay, well, what can you do to bring people to your community? Well, here we were very fortunate to get the grant, match it with some local money. That's now created a stir to where people are coming just to sit on the shoreline of Lake Michigan, walk the boardwalks, hike the trails, ride their bikes on the trails, visit the park, rent the pavilion, rent the gazebo. So this influx of people, over time will help us, sustain the business district. We've also then done some things to try to attract people to the business district, not shoppers, but merchants, new businesses. And we have a very extensive grant program that if you had an eatery in Valparaiso or Crown Point and you wanted to open a second location in Whiting, we'd give you $25,000 to come open your door without any questions asked. Okay, we have mini grants, we have facade renovation grants, we have a bunch of assistance grants that we can help you with. We want you to come, we want you to at least take a look at Whiting, and if there's a way we can get you here, we're going to try to help you through some sort of assistance. And our theory is that you never can have too many eateries. Valpo is a perfect example of that. People will drive to eat because they have choices, and we want the young professionals to the families, to everybody to come and hopefully experience one of the new restaurants or the Brew Pub or Beggar's Pizza, who made a significant investment in the community. So all these places are just hopefully the early wave of the next group of restaurants and eateries coming in.
The ballpark, in that square contiguous space that you're saying is not very big, you put a ballpark.
Sure.
Tell me about what that's done for the city of Whiting.
Well, when we started our planning, we're focused on the business district. We're trying to bring amenities that'll bring people to downtown and bring them to the business district. we kind of had a weird dilemma that we resolved, and it ended up being a benefit for everybody. But our original baseball field for the high school team was in the park, in the Lakefront Park. And when you planners look at Lakefront Park, you say a baseball field with a cyclone fence does not really belong in a park like this. So we needed to recapture that land. So we looked for a location to put the new field, and we had a recreational facility we called Standard Diamonds Park that we were looking for space. And through our discussions with BP Refinery to acquire some land, we kind of came up with some disclosures that they had some plans in the future to do some buildings, and this whole discussion led us to improving the quality of the park. So now instead of having a cyclone fence baseball field, we actually have what we call a stadium, brick facade, very low-level minor league park capabilities, and a magnificent asset now to the community. But it all came through this trial and error discussion with the refinery and where we put it, where do we move it, what's the impact. At the end of the day, the stadium ended up on the main business district, right on 119th Street, and now a stirring development in an area we call the Stadium District for new restaurants, new buildings, new commercial structures, multi-use buildings, and hopefully some condominiums down the road. So again, just almost by accident, we knew we were going to have to build something, but we never anticipated building something as nice as we did. But thanks to the conversation we had with BP and the marriage with the lakefront, it worked out really well.
What we've talked to you a couple times in the past about some of the issues that mayors work on that have some commonality across the state. They're not necessarily always in alignment with Indianapolis per se, but tell me about some of the things that you work with a couple of the other regions' mayors on.
Sure. Well, the super common topic or projects that we work on, economic development based. Everybody is trying to find the way to do the right economic development or stimulate the right economic development for their community. And from small cities like Rising Sun, Indiana, all the way to big cities like South Bend and Indianapolis, they all have similar issues, but the answers are typically different. So whenever we meet, economic development, ways to provide incentives, ways to attract people to your community are always on the topic, or they're always in the discussion. So you'll always talk about the tools that we have, things like TIF and abatement and how we can assist people. So those are widespread topics all the time. More closely locally here, we tend to deal with the issues at hand. Klein Avenue Bridge has been a topic for us for years. Mayor McDermott and Mayor Copeland have taken the lead on that. I give them a lot of credit because it's not a popular topic in Indianapolis, so you're basically preaching to the choir up here. Everybody knows it's a tough issue, but it needed to be put on the table. And issues like that, more directly related to South Shore Extension, how we can figure out ways to support the RDA, which is unbelievable. I need to give the RDA a plug because if it wasn't for the RDA's grant to Whiting wouldn't be in a position we are today. Their investment in Whiting has actually opened the doors to have new investment and private money come into the community for the first time in decades. And that investment shows that it can take communities that, again, stagnant's a strong word for Whiting. Whiting has always been a vibrant little community, but there really hasn't ever been a lot of growth because there's very little land to do it, and you have to get really creative. And most of the projects that we had in the books took big money, so there's a great way for the RDA to come in and help a little community like Whiting, and they've done a great job across the region, and I like to see that they're around for a long time.
Last thing I'll touch on, more the fun aspect of things. You're kicking off the farmers market. You got obviously the baseball games all coming up. You got Pierogi Fest. You got a variety of other summer festival type of things going down. Tell me about summer in Whiting, 2015.
The summer months are the time that we have a very easy time of bringing people to the community, and the festivals are really our strong point. And the Chamber of Commerce, Robertsdale Chamber of Commerce does a great job in providing the energy and the logistics for most of the festivals. The city supports them, do a few festivals on our own, but for the most part it's a partnership between the Chamber and the city. we have everything. Of course, the Pierogi Fest is our signature, or the Chamber's signature event. And you know, while we can't count people individually, it looks like we're upper part of 300,000 people for the weekend, Friday, Saturday, Sunday. We now have added the 4th of July parade. We haven't added it. It's our 97th year, I believe. You have to check the date on that. But oldest running 4th of July parade in the state. Last year we brought Mickey and Minnie Mouse in to actually serve as our grand marshals, and this year we have some more surprises. So our goal now is to keep raising the bar on the 4th of July parade so that people want to come to Whiting because they don't know what to expect. I have a couple new festivals this year. We have what we're going to call the it's a lantern launch over Lake Michigan for the summer solstice. We're partnering with the South Shore Visitors and Convention and Visitors Bureau, and we hope to have a nice event out there to actually bring people down to the community, enjoy a little music and entertainment, and then also have a late night lantern launch. Of course, we have the Summer Symphony Series. This year we have our feature symphony is going to be the songs of Elton John and Billy Joel. So we're trying to bring in a younger element. It's not just strictly the classical. I like music, but you know what? You tell me Elton John and Billy Joel, I'm coming.
Yeah.
You know, classical music to me is it's enjoyable, but I'm driving somewhere for Billy Joel and Elton John. So hopefully that's a big splash. Again, fireworks show around the 4th, tons of other small events in the community. Farmers market every Saturday, cruise nights third Wednesday of the month, special cruise night in the month of July. We'll have some Hollywood cars out there. Last year, the entire business district was wall-to-wall people for the big main cruise night, so we hope to see that again this year. The Oilmen, of course, are playing a full schedule this year again in June and July. Interesting.
You get out there to throw the first pitch on opening day or one of the days?
I probably will, and the last week of May we're actually hosting the Horizon League baseball tournament. So Valparaiso University, we're actually providing the field as the service. They're actually the hosts, but we're the host field. So that'll be, I believe, broadcast on ESPN3. So it's you know, coming down to downtown Whiting. We're going to have a nice college baseball tournament, and again, the field's just used all year round. So.